Today we are going to paint some poppies in watercolor. I'll be using this Canson watercolor paper. Also, you will need two brushes, smaller and bigger size. Start by drawing the basic shape of the flower. Then add the center and begin sketching the petals. A poppy usually has 4 petals and they have a slightly crinkled, delicate appearance. Draw the stem coming down from the center of the flower. For the second poppy, make it a little smaller and again draw 4 petals and a stem coming from the center. Now we will add 2 seed pods. Before we start painting, I'm erasing some of the pencil lines so they won't show through the watercolor too much. Now let's mix our colors on the palette. I'm using plenty of water to create nice transparent washes. You can use a regular ceramic plate as a palette if you don't have one. I actually prefer ceramic because the paint mixes more smoothly than on plastic palettes. Here I'm preparing 3 different values, a light tone, a mid-tone and a dark tone for contrast. We will start with the lightest wash. I'm painting the first petal with a very diluted mixture. As you can see, there is a lot of water on the paper. This is cheap watercolor paper, so it doesn't absorb water as well as professional paper, but that's perfectly fine. Now I'm painting another petal with the same light wash. While it's still wet, I'm adding a little bit more red near the base of the petal. Because the paint is very diluted, the colors blend together. Here I'm adding some red and it flows into the previous layer. Be careful when painting petals that touch each other. Usually it's best to let one petal dry before painting the next one. Otherwise, the colors may bleed together. Try to leave a small wide gap between the petals when needed. As you can see, there are a few puddles forming on the paper. It's better to wait until they shrink a little before using a hairdryer, or start with a low setting and gradually increase the airflow. Again, remember to leave small wide gap between the petals where needed. I'm dropping in more red near the base of the petal. Lower petal here will be the darkest value. Here I decided to clean my brush and dry it slightly and lift some of the excess paint. Again, if you see these puddles, wait a little before using a hairdryer. This petal will also be dark value. I'm leaving some white space on the edge of the petal. When working on the upper flower, be careful not to touch the lower flower with your hand if it's still wet. You can see here that some color has flowed from one petal into another. I'm trying to fix that by gently lifting the paint with a clean damp brush. Here I'm spreading this puddle upwards the petal. Let all the paint dry completely. Now I'm switching to a smaller brush. We are going to paint the stems and seed pods. The stems have a slight curve, so they don't need to be perfectly straight. I'm also adding small spikes or hairs along the stems and on the pods. This is characteristic of the poppies. I'm adding some darker color here and there. I'm lifting some paint with a clean, damp brush. Next, we are adding a second layer to the petals for more depth and detail. Use a smaller brush and paint in the direction of the petal. I'm adding like thin curved lines and darker accents to suggest the texture and shadow. You can place these details wherever you feel they look natural. I'm also deepening the color on the stems and adding a few more details. Now let's paint the center of the flower. First, paint the green seed pod in the middle and then add the darker stamens around it. Here I decided to add some darker color on the upper flower. Now let the paint dry completely and you can erase any remaining pencil lines. Here I decided to add some darker color to the center of the flower. And finally, I'm adding a few splatters for a loose watercolor effect. Mix paint with plenty of water and load a larger brush. The more water you use, the larger and softer the splatters will be. Mine are fairly small here, but you can experiment to get the effect you like. And that's it. Thank you for painting with me.